Shaun, I got to be honest with you, buddy. I feel like in the last 3 to 6 months, all I've heard you talk about is topical authority. What is it, and why do you keep talking about it?
Perfect. All right, let's talk about it. Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here. So basically, the easy definition is how deep and how knowledgeable are you as a business and as a website around a specific topic, but also how deep and in depth have you gone, and are you showcasing to Google and AI and all these LLMs that you thoroughly know what this is all about? And there's a lot more that goes into it. So let's get into it.
So topical authority, give me an example. Sports cards. You have a website that is built around sports cards. The topical authority for that site should be sports cards, right?
Should be sports cards, but then it goes way, way, way further than that. I actually have an analogy that I want to go through if you don't mind. It's going to be a little bit long-winded, but I feel like, SEO. Okay. Yeah. SEO can be super complex for folks who aren't really technically inclined. It can be overwhelming, exhausting, all of the above. But basically, let's look at it this way, in the way that I look at it. I'm going to compare it to topical mapping to basically buying a book in the 1980s, pre-internet. So back then, say you were looking for, an autobiography specifically. That's what you're into. You like reading about athletes, about their come up stories. So you're really into that. So back then, obviously there was no search. What you had to do was you had to go to a website, or you had to go to a bookstore. So just like nowadays, you go to a website. Back then, you would go to a bookstore. Let's call it Bookstore A. It's a local business. You want to support local. So you walk in the front door and you're like, hey, this is weird. It's laid out a little wonky. So you start to see a couple signs. You got fiction, you got nonfiction. You're like, all right, autobiography. It's probably in the nonfiction section. You head over there. So same thing with the website. You get to a homepage and you're like, all right, what do I do? Where am I supposed to go? That's kind of what that feels like. Now you're in the nonfiction section and you see there is no autobiography section. It's just laid out like people, animals, outer space. You're like, that's weird. I'm trying to look for this specific thing. So you start to browse, you look at the people section, you see random things like people of China or, people of Italy or the cultural significance of family in the 1940s, these random books. And at this point, you're frustrated. You're like, I'm looking for an autobiography. I'm going to go back to the front desk and ask them. In a website sense, I'm going to go back to the homepage or I'm going to hit the search bar. I can't find what I'm looking for. So you go to the front desk and they say, yes, we have autobiographies, but they're in the people section. You got to go find them. That's equivalent to a website being like, hey, yeah, we wrote a blog about that back in 2021. Go find it. Go figure it out. Or it's 17 pages deep on our blog section. It's there. Trust me. That's not a good experience. And for most people, they're just not going to do that. And for Google, they're not going to recognize you as an authority because you're not making this experience easy to do. So at this point, I'm done. I'm frustrated. I'm going to leave the store. In the website sense, I'm going to leave the website. So now say we leave and we go to like a commercial store like Borders or Barnes & Noble or whatever. The first thing you do, you walk in, they hand you a map or you see a map at the front door and it's perfectly laid out. It says fiction, nonfiction, but beyond that, it's everything. It's business, self-help, it's nature, it's education. And look, they have autobiography section. But beyond that, they've segmented it a step further and they have business autobiographies and philanthropy. And they do have sports. And so you're like, all right, great. This is going to be so easy for me to find. But then they take it another step further and they have hockey autobiographies and football autobiographies and karate and literally everything you could possibly imagine. So for me, as a website visitor, this is how you should look at your footer. So if I don't really know anything about your business, and if I get to the bottom of your website, which most users will do, especially on the mobile phone, we're built to scroll. Is it fully optimized or is there a potential way to get your traffic and your ideal customer profiles to the pages that'll drive leads, revenue, and so on? And so that's kind of what that experience looks like. So now for me, say I just didn't even look at the menu or didn't look at the map and I just walk in. We already know that as a business, they've done this really significant and detailed organization. And so I just start walking through the store. I get to nonfiction section. I get to autobiographies. I get to sports. And me specifically, I'm looking for a hockey one. I see they have a section. It's perfectly laid out. I grab what I need and I leave. That's kind of visually how you should look at your website. So do you make the process easy enough for a potential candidate or client to get from your homepage or your footer to the next step of the funnel, which is nonfiction, to the next step of the funnel, which is autobiographies, to the final step of the funnel, which is a specific type of that thing? that's how we should look at our websites in the staffing industry. And I can now change the context and do that. But does that kind of make sense?
I love that analogy. I love that analogy so much. And I too often in consulting with clients and consulting with prospects, I myself, and I've been in this space for 13 years, get frustrated at websites and not necessarily websites we've built, but new websites, maybe even some of the ones we've built because I'm not thinking through the CRO that our team had put together, right? Like my mindset is shifting differently as a user. We could have the best design and the best concept, but if it doesn't correlate to what the user is actually trying to do, well then yes, that's a me problem, but we need to be thinking about user experience top of mind. And I know our creative team does that. I know our entire team of strategists are doing that. We're thinking through user experience. But Shaun, I have seen hundreds of websites, especially as we're prospecting, we're thinking about people coming in and asking for advice, where if I was a job seeker, I'd give up. If I was a hiring manager, I'd give up. And friends, those people are giving up, right? They're not going to find the destination. They're not going to put in work to get to the page. They want to be told what to do. They want to be guided down that path of what to do. And they want to be there super, super easy. Love the analogy, Shaun.
Beautiful. And then beyond that too, it's beyond the user. It's Google crawls your site that way too. You have to give them a click experience to kind of map out where you want them to go. Same thing with the user, same thing with AI. You have to be exhaustive in your detailing to get to like with the bookstore, all the way down to the, sports autobiographies. Same thing with healthcare. So I've seen some smaller healthcare staffing firms launch websites and just have all of the services as a line item on a services page, and they expect Google and AI to find them. And it's like, if I'm looking for light industrial staffing and you just have it as a line item on your services page, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to hit your contact form and try to figure out what you do. You have to give me that experience. You have to optimize for search and optimize for what I'm looking for. I need the information.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about my friends over at Broad and Madison. If you're running a staffing firm and your tech stack feels more like a roadblock than a growth engine, Broad and Madison is your fix. With over 60 years of recruitment technology expertise, they streamline your systems, automate the boring stuff, and make your tech finally work for your team, not against it. They're not just another managed services provider, they're technologists first. With deep bullhorn know-how and real-world implementation experience, Broad and Madison doesn't just keep your systems running, make them smarter, faster, and more profitable. To learn more about my friends over at Broad and Madison and how they can help your staffing firm maximize its technology, visit broadandmadison.com. Again, that's broadandmadison.com. All right, let's get back to the show. So then is the main reason why we want to build a site around topical authority, user experience, and for the robots?
Yeah, it's essentially, it's how we as humans interact with the internet. We want to click. We don't want to open up your menu and go through, we just want to click, 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 find what I want, bounce. So it's for that reason, but it's also
kind of scary, right?
I know, but it's also how Google tries to understand what your website is about. So if they recognize that you go from homepage to healthcare staffing to locum tenens, to the candidate side of that, to the client side of that, if you're giving them that type of experience, and then beyond that, once that is developed, this is what I would say. So people are like, well, this is so overwhelming. Where do I start? The place you start is what drives revenue and what drives leads. If you as a business are one of those ones that are like, oh, we serve everybody. We have 37 service lines. We can handle everything. Just at least start with the first top 5 to top 10. Develop that as fully as you can. If you're doing light industrial staffing, lay it all out. Like, what is light industrial staffing? How does this look like with you? Do you do it in the state of Texas? Do you do it only in Houston? You have to be as thorough and as specific as possible. And then potentially Google, AI, and everybody else will recommend you. If you don't have that and you just start writing blogs about it, blogs can work, but it's not a good long play. To go back to my book analogy, a blog is kind of like, say I was walking in the bookstore and they have like a pop-up, an author that I may know that's local or whatever wrote a book. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. I didn't know this guy wrote a new book. There's a good opportunity that is going to sell. You can get some leads, you can get some sales from that, but it's not going to be there forever. Somebody eventually is going to write another book. Somebody's going to write another blog post. They're going to knock you out of the store. So if you're only investing in the blogs or if you're only investing in PPC, it's going to work. But the long play is that topical authority funnel. So that Google, so that AI, so that everything else going forward recognizes who you are, what you do, And that way, when you put out new content to reinforce the main revenue stuff, it's going to start to also pop. And we can talk about what we did recently with your last episode with Rachel.
Let's hold on that for 1 second. I just want to talk about what I should be building Topical authority around. So as a light industrial firm in Buffalo, New York, industrial staffing firm, Buffalo, New York, should my Topical authority be around my service, around the area, around my client? Walk us through that a little bit. So sort of simplify for that really quickly, Shaun. And use it in the sense of we're working with a light industrial staffing firm in Buffalo, New York. In a best case scenario, how do we build Topical authority for their website for them specifically?
So first off, your homepage should always be who you are and what you do. I see this a lot where people are like, best dentist in Buffalo. It's like, that's not where your homepage should be about. It should be about, we've been a dental company for 35 years. We do oral surgery and blah, 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 blah. And then you funnel them into the next step of the authority, of the Topical authority experience. So,
and I would say, I would add to that should be right above the fold. And when I say above the fold, as soon as somebody hits the website, hit them right in the face with what it is that you do, who you are. I agree. Keep going.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So who you are, what you do. And then again, yes, if you're in a specific location, you want to funnel them into that experience. So if you if you're in Buffalo, but you also have, locations in Orchard Park or other places, make sure you have a dedicated page for each one of those. You're now giving Google and AI multiple ways to find you. If people are looking for dental companies or dentists in, Buffalo, Orchard Park, or light industrial staffing in Buffalo, Orchard Park, or whatever it is, you can be found that way. But now going back to what you just said. So this is a revenue driver for you. So you want to focus on putting as much information, and we call this like a pillar page on this pillar page. So if somebody were to search for light industrial staffing in Buffalo, you want to make sure you put as much as possible. So what does light industrial staffing entail? You want to answer that. What does it look like working with you? You have an FAQ at the bottom. Do you place people who have specific credentials only? You want to try to answer as many of these questions as possible. And you also, if there's like current jobs that are available, funnel them into that job experience. If you have past clients that you've worked with, showcase that. If you have ratings on Clearly Rated or any other place like that, showcase that. And that gives you a good starting point for Topical authority in your space.
Do FAQs still matter?
They do. Yes, they definitely matter. The FAQ schema is definitely picked up. The AI models seem to prefer it as well. AI mode does use them a lot. I've seen recently with a lot of our clients.
FAQs on specific services and location pages is interesting to me. So I know a lot of staffing and recruiting firms, their website will have a FAQ, employer frequently asked questions or job seeker frequently asked questions, and it's just one page. I like the thought, Shaun, of breaking that down and really lasering into these are the FAQs of candidates who work with us in the LI space. Yes, we also do some office clerical staffing. These are the FAQs that we typically get from decision makers in that space, and that's on the page. So if I'm hearing you correctly, we should have multiple FAQ sections of our website that are then answering the frequently asked questions of essentially each piece of Topical authority.
Exactly. Yes. And it's you want to look at it down funnel. So it starts at the top.
Yeah.
We are a staffing company in Buffalo. That's what you can potentially be found for on your homepage, on your Google My Business profile. If you're not optimizing that, that can be tied to your website. Super important there. But then step 2 is your service lines. So if you do light industrial staffing, it should be specifically optimized for light industrial staffing. If you have locations, you should have additional location pages that all tie back into your mainline service page. So
Shaun,
go ahead.
Go ahead. You go, please.
I was just going to say, so the reason you do that is you're now showing Google, like, all right, we are light industrial staffing firm. We've answered all the questions. We are trying our best to make sure that if you're searching for this, you're going to have a place to either find your answer here, or we have internal links to, do we have locations in this area, this area, this area? Yes. And we're going to send you there. Do you do other industries? Yes. That's either in our footer or that's somewhere on this page. And the more additional things that you add on is just going to keep on building that web. It's just like going back to the bookstore. It's, you're building the experience and you're making it easier and easier and easier for a person to figure out. If I'm looking for something way more specific than light industrial staffing, like, do you guys hire for forklift operator jobs? Yes. And we actually have a page that we've developed specifically for that. It talks about how much they make. We have the actual jobs listed there. That's what that full down funnel experience looks like.
You sort of got ahead of the question I was going to ask, which was, we kind of got nerdy here for a second, and I want to break it down for 1 minute and think about the staffing owner listening right now and answer the question of why does this matter for them? And I think you got us there. And it's because if someone is searching for a question on Google, you want your website to be built to render the answer to that question, given you are the authority on that question. If you don't do anything in healthcare staffing, you shouldn't have a page on healthcare staffing on your website. There's no purpose for that. Book in the library or in the bookstore, as Shaun had articulated. So when we think about why this matters for you, the listener right now, the owner listening, thinking, okay, you got me here for 15 minutes so far, and you danced around all these big buzzwords like topical authority and SEO and AIO. I don't even think we use that buzzword yet, or keyword yet, but we can. Why does it matter? It's because we want to send the signal to Google that if somebody in your area is searching for the services that you provide, you have a fighting chance of showing up in those search results. Shaun, do I have that right?
You have it exactly right. And I want to give a couple Easter eggs or kind of free things to do here. So first thing you should focus on, we're finding a lot of AI models like chat are focusing on a company's About Us page. So if your About Us page is outdated and it just says like buzzwords like serving smiles for 30 years or things like that, that has to be updated ASAP. It should be exhaustively detailed who we are, what we've done, awards we've won, industries that we serve, clients that we've worked with, case studies, all of that stuff should be in your About Us section. And if you're a company that writes press releases and you just do a blanket About Us on every press release, you need to stop doing that right away. If you are talking about a specific service line in your press release, like something that has to do with light industrial staffing, your About Us for that specific press release should be tailored to how you guys are experts in the light industrial staffing space, and then also link to your light industrial staffing page as opposed to your homepage. You're now potentially going to get picked up by different websites and news stations and stuff that are proving that you guys do this thing, and you're then creating backlinks to the page that will drive revenue for you. So that's a quick win. That's something that we also at Haley can help you do.
That lengthy About Us page is sort of contradictory to what I would think we would want to do, which is keep copy short, keep it short and to the point. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Shaun, but I think it is contradictory from what I've heard a lot of websites want to be doing in 2025, which is, hey man, we have the attention span of a goldfish. I'm clicking over to your website because I saw something on Facebook. You caught my attention while I was during the intermission of a game. I have, or a commercial from a game. I have 30 seconds because I don't know what to do with myself. So I'm going to look at Facebook. That bounced me over to a website. We need quick hitting copy. And now, Shaun, the thought of, well, yes, we need quick hitting copy, but we also need to touch on all of these areas is interesting to me. Walk through that one more time. Why do we want that About Us page to be so exhaustive?
Because again, it gives Google and AI multiple places to kind of find information about you. So again, your homepage should talk about who you are, what you do. You should have prioritized your service lines. Your service line should be built out exhaustively. We serve, light industrial staffing. This is everything that goes into that. Your About Us page reinforces. So you now have a homepage, you have service line pages, you have About Us that brings it all together. And then once you've done that, you've now given AI and all these other models potentially 3 pages to return as an answer. And then that's when you start to focus on talent pages and building those out. That's when you start to focus on your blogs. Should we talk about your episode last week?
Let's do it. Yeah, it's more cards in the deck, right? I use that analogy all the time, right? If you sign your name on one card and you shove it in the deck, yes, you have a 1 in 52 chance of finding it. But the more signed cards you have in the deck that are all related to what it is that you do, the better. And I think that makes perfect sense. So walk through the episode and walk through what we're seeing over here.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show.
Sure. So if you look at Haley Marketing as a website, obviously we've updated our footer recently. It shows all of our service lines. I did the Topical Authority research. We do have Topical Authority in staffing marketing and recruiting marketing. So Google more than recognizes us. We have service line pages built out that we do marketing automation and a bunch of other things that are related to marketing in the staffing industry. So that's when you came in. So Topical Authority, check, done. You had Rachel on and you talked about marketing automation for staffing industry.
Yep.
And it got picked up by YouTube and it ranks number 1 currently. And so because as a website, as a company, we've done the Topical Authority build out for service lines, you're now able to create supporting content. It ranked number 1. And so we decided, hey, let's also embed this piece of content into a blog post. And that ranks number 1. So if anyone here is listening currently right now, if you go to Google and type in marketing automation for staffing firms, you're going to see Brad's episode shows up. All 3 of the videos that are showing there are Haley Marketing. The number 1 thing that is returned is your newest blog post that was just posted live 4 days ago. That's the power of Topical Authority, because Google understands and recognizes us an authority in that space. When we do put out content and we put it out frequently, we have a better chance now of ranking. And right now we're number 1, which is great. If we didn't have that Topical Authority, we still would have potentially had a chance to be there. But again, you have the best chance when you do the Topical Authority first. And especially if you're doing content at volume, you have the best chance to have and hold that page 1.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. So having the authority around the keyword, around the phrase, around that service line for us, then putting out the subsequent content around it enabled it the opportunity to really rank well. Before we even knew it was a good interview. I mean, Rachel and I, we thought it was a hit right when we shot it, right? And Rachel's incredibly brilliant. And I thought the content itself was strong. But I mean, I'll be the first to admit YouTube is a graveyard of really good videos, right? There are some fantastic interviews with people that, I'm not saying our show, fantastic interviews, fantastic conversations that never see the light of day, right? And it's so interesting to me that there are certain things that will just favor a video over another. And this right here is a perfect, I guess, reason into why things rank the way they do. When you put in the groundwork and then you have supporting materials around it, it sends a good signal that says, listen, these guys are already ranking for this. They're talking about it more. Let's rank it as well. So Shaun, spin this to the staffing owner listening right now who knows that they want to attract more candidates in light industrial in Buffalo, New York, or they want to get in front of more decision makers in the LI space in Western New York, whatever it might be.
Yep.
They should first, if I'm hearing you correctly, build Topical Authority around their service line, around what it is that they do, around the type of candidate and client that they serve, and then build content that speaks to that pain point, correct?
Yes. And then internal links back up to it, back upstream. So your first priority is on your homepage, is there a line item somewhere that links to that page? In your footer, is there a line item that links to your page? If not, that is step 1. Make sure that happens. Now, step 2 is, all right, we've made it easy for that person from the homepage to get to this second step. Now put yourself in your ideal customer's shoes. Is this process, is this page good enough to get them to want to do what you're trying to get them to do? If they're looking for jobs, is it easy to figure out, or are you just saying search jobs and going to a mainline search jobs board that they then now have to do more work? That's one of the cool things about our career portals. We have those category pages. That if you have that category in Bullhorn or whatever your system is, we can, or ours, you can send them directly to that page, and that passes Topical Authority, even to subdomains.
Yep. Shaun, I've said it Haley now for probably a decade. Every post has to have a purpose. And that started as a social media line, right? So I was getting frustrated with social in the sense of it's noisy. There's so much going on social that every post has to have a purpose. And if it doesn't, close your laptop and try again tomorrow, because you're wasting your time and you're wasting your audience's time.
Yes.
I've now moved that to every page should have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose for every page on your website, you are also wasting your time and your audience's time. But what I've then challenged a lot of people as I'm presenting, whether it's on a webinar or it's on this podcast, or, I'm at a conference and I have the opportunity to speak on stage, I will typically challenge somebody to go through their website and identify the pain points where they get stuck. And then what I'll typically say is, okay, now find somebody that you love, a spouse, a family member, a kid, whatever it is, one of your children, someone that you love who is not going to steer you down the wrong path. Have them go through your website, and don't watch them navigate the website. Watch their body language. When do they get frustrated? When do they lock their feet around their chair because they're trying to ground themselves? When do they wipe their brow because they want to remove themselves from the situation? Are they visibly frustrated and actually articulating that to you? And if that's the case, if someone, again, that you love, a child, a spouse, a family member, someone who loves you is feeling that frustrated about your website, what do you think a random candidate's going to feel like? You think they're going to give you the same benefit of the doubt? You think a random prospect is going to give you the same benefit of the doubt? Absolutely not. So we need to make sure that every page has a purpose, every post has a purpose, and we're acting with intent, and we're guiding people deeper down the funnel with every single thing that we do in the marketing mix.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. I have one more thing I want to toss in here too. There's ways that you can look for, I call it freebies essentially. So I was doing a little bit of research before this call. For example, so I typed in healthcare staffing near me, and I'm close to you. We're in Buffalo here. And I noticed the first thing, the number one thing that shows up is Yelp. And it's top 10 medical staffing agencies in Buffalo. And the funny thing is, the number one result there has 4 reviews. So there's opportunities like that. This company has topical authority. Obviously, everybody knows Yelp. If you don't have a profile there and you're a healthcare staffing company in Buffalo, you need to set one up yesterday. And also, if you have a big enough client base and friends and family and whatever, and you can get 5 reviews, you could potentially be the number one medical staffing company in Buffalo right now and be number one on Google. There's opportunities like that.
We drastically overlook reviews. We drastically overlook asking people for reviews. I actually just got done wrapping up an interview for Take the Stage, and we talked about the power of asking for reviews. And the general thought is we just either forget to do it or we think it's too self-serving. But as Shaun's articulating, if the number one healthcare staffing agency in Buffalo, New York only has 4 reviews, first off, that sends a pretty weak signal at the strength of healthcare staffing in the area. We should be able to generate many more reviews than that. But 2, if you're in that space, huge opportunity. And all you're looking for, Shaun, is how you can exploit your competitors' weaknesses, right? You're looking for gaps. You're looking for opportunity.
Exactly. And there's a lot of other ways that you could do this too. And again, your content should always be working for you. You're absolutely right that every piece of content should be intentional. I know if you're a smaller agency and you're like, we don't have a big marketing budget, we're going to just do it on our own. You have to be careful. For those folks who are just kind of busting out random chat articles, posting those live, if you don't create internal links and you're not intentional with your content, Google can actually penalize you. They made some recent changes. They prefer, it's called EEAT. It's like authority, expertise. I forget what it means, but basically it's saying like, don't just bust out content to try to rank. It should be intentional. It should be reinforcing the things that you're trying to get people to do on your website. So that's just a warning for folks out there.
Full agree. I think it's quality over quantity any day of the week.
Of course.
I mean, that's the exact same scenario as the bookstore, right? We could have billions of books in a library. People are going to gravitate towards the ones that are good. And the scary part is, and I guess this kind of brings the analogy full circle, is you can have the best book in the library, but if no one knows how to get to it, or no one knows how to find it, or you don't have the right hierarchy in your system that navigates people to that book, it's gone, man. And it's absolutely lost. And I think a lot of staffing and recruiting websites are the exact same. Staffing firms offer a fantastic service to both candidates and clients. The challenge, though, is either A, the site isn't built in a way where it's sending a signal to Google or AI that says, hey, serve this to more people. Or B, it's built, but it's not built strong enough with enough of that hierarchy that is giving the right signals. So, Shaun, if someone's listening right now and they're thinking, all right, guys, I hear you. This makes a ton of sense. Shaun's library analogy and bookstore analogy was spot on. I want to make sure that if someone is searching for light industrial staffing in Buffalo, New York, I show up, or a variation, whatever it might be, I want to show up. I want to have topical authority. Shaun, where can someone either A, get a hold of you, or what do you propose they do to get started?
Well, first off, if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to help, happy to to answer questions. We do offer a variety of services, including consulting hours. Like if you want to just start small and say, listen, I want to buy a bucket of hours. Let's just kind of walk through and figure out what I need. We do offer that. But as a business, where you should start, again, it's what drives service or what drives revenue for you. Is it your service lines? Is it your industry pages? Are those optimized? That should be your priority. Not blogging, not anything else. Obviously, those are very important. But first and foremost, can a person or user get from the homepage to the thing that's going to drive leads and revenue easily? If not, that should be your top priority. That has to be your top priority. Everything else comes after that.
Full agree. And certainly if there's anything that we can do to help at Haley Marketing, we have a team of marketing educators who are willing and ready to chat about your overall needs and overall challenges. And if this is one of them, certainly get you in touch with the right people to take care of that for you. Shaun, before I let you go, buddy, anything else in the SEO or AIO world that's on your mind right now?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I don't know if folks saw, but July 10th, it was announced that Instagram posts for business accounts can now be indexed. I don't know what this is going to look like, but it's very, very interesting, especially if AI models start to use TikToks and Instagram posts in their answers. I don't know what it's going to be looking like, but as an agency, we're keeping an eye on it. Super interesting. Can't wait to see what becomes of it.
Why would Google want to rank a meta product? I've consulted with hundreds of staffing firms over the last year, and if you're anything like the owners or sales leaders I'm talking to, you're probably asking the same two questions. How do we open more doors to get more conversations? And how do we close more deals? Here's the good news. I've seen what works, and right now we're making it even easier to boost your lead generation without blowing your budget. For a limited time, Haley Marketing is offering 20% off our most powerful marketing tools for staffing and recruiting firms. That's door openers campaigns, custom integrated direct marketing, digital marketing solutions, sales automation services, and our exclusive Haley Mail content marketing system. We're limiting this offer to the first 30 companies that sign up, and if you're already a Haley Marketing client, the discount applies to new services only. So if you're ready to drive more sales in 2025, we'd love to help. Head over to bit.ly/Bialy20 to learn more. That's bit.ly/Bialy20, all lowercase, to learn more. All right, let's get back to the show.
That's a good question.
Google right now is ranking, if you search, perfect example, marketing automation for staffing firms. The videos that show up are not the TikToks that I posted. They're the YouTube videos. Now, behind the curtain, they're the same videos, full disclosure, but it's not ranking TikTok because YouTube is a Google property. So why would, and if you don't have the answer, maybe just an opinion.
I don't.
Why would Google now want to rank Instagram posts knowing that it's a competitive platform?
I think their goal is to become an answer engine, just like chat.
Sure.
Like obviously they still, they make money, and it's great to send traffic, but it seems like their goal with like AI mode is to keep people engaged with their product and asking more questions and trying to get the answer and staying on Google. So it could be something that has to do with that. I don't have the answer. I think it's very interesting. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I'm ready, and I'm excited to see. I don't know.
Yeah, so am I. It's just interesting, and I just thought about it as you articulated that it's showing a competitor platform, which billion people are using Instagram every day. Obviously, you can't ignore the fact that it exists anymore. It's just interesting to me that it would rank Instagram posts and not Facebook posts. Why that? Like what's going on there behind the curtain? I'd love to know. And I'm sure they would never tell us. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
That's our show. And thank you for listening to another episode of InSights. If you found this episode valuable, we would love to know. You can message Shaun or Brad on LinkedIn. If you have a question for us, you can tweet us at Haley Marketing or email info@haleymarketing.com. And of course, if you need a hand with your marketing or recruitment marketing initiatives or your topical authority initiatives, we would love to help. You message info@haleymarketing.com and be sure you tell them that InSights sent you. For my co-host this week, Shaun Chojnacki, I'm Brad Bialy. We'll see you next time.